benefits for the researcher. It builds your academic profile. As an author, it increases your credibility. Your research works will receive more exposure. Most importantly, you will gain more insights into the subject. Builds your professional connection with other researchers and authors. It also improves your writing and research skills. Keeping this in mind, for today's session, we have with us Dr. Atul Shiva. Sir is presently working as an Associate Professor of Management in University School of Business, Chandigarh University, Mohali. He did his PhD on social media and investor behavior in the domain of behavioral finance from Punjabi University, Patiala. His area of specialization is behavioral finance and business analytics and has a teaching experience of 17 years. He is a certified trainer in smart PLS software from Northern Institute of Technology, Technical University of Hamburg, Germany. He has various publications in renowned journals listed with Scopus, Sage, Emerald, and UGC Care. He has conducted various research methodology workshops on smart PLS software, SPSS, MOS, in various universities and colleges such as JNDU Amritsar, Punjabi University Patiala, Amity University Noida, and many other reputed institutions of India. He has conducted more than 60 national and international webinars across India, Dubai, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Philippines, Thailand, and Hong Kong. We welcome you, sir. Now, we request our esteemed resource person, Dr. Atul Shiva, sir, to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Megha, and thank you, BCIPS faculty, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this area. And I know that these days, teaching and research, I mean, if you are a good teacher, you need to have a good research publication also, so that you can imbibe that research findings into your research teaching. This is one of the most important phenomena of a teacher who is working in present times. But from my research journey, what I have gathered is the most important point is that it is not a specific tool or a specific statistical operation which should be learned to write a research paper. In research paper, most important is a story. How you write a story, it depends upon what is the idea which you have conceptualized, on the periphery of which, first of all, you are going to search the variable. Then you have to come out to the particular story on which you will write introduction. And then you will go for literature review. And then you will build your literature review on the basis of some theoretical framework. So once this is done, then somebody can think of data collection, preparing questionnaire, and thinking of variables. It is, if it is primary, then you go for a questionnaire. Or if it is secondary, you go for Provis or Bloomberg. Then you have to search these databases and then data analysis and conclusions. But out of all this thing, one thing is very clear. If the introduction is not nicely written, anybody who is going to judge your paper, especially the editor-in-chief or associate editor who is going to judge your paper, out of so many papers, he will never take your paper if the idea is not nicely conceptualized. Number one, he is not able to find out the problem statement. Number three, if he is unable to see the research gap, highlighted research gap in your introduction section, the paper will never see the day of light if in the introduction section you are not convincing that please take my paper to the review process at least. Okay, so you can understand that once we submit a paper, we are every time we given a month number and the paper number of submission. Sometimes we are submitting like July is going on. So if I submit, I will be given 07 and a number, let us say 147. So you can understand that in that particular journal, from January till date, you are the 147th person to submit a paper. So that number will give you an insight that how many papers are being submitted into the journal and then you have to see that how many papers the journal is going to publish in 1 year. If the journal is publishing 4 issues, you see their past history. In one issue, if they are taking 10 papers, so 4 issues, they are going to select 40 papers in 1 year. And if you are submitting at 256th number or 380th number, now you can imagine the fate of the paper, that 40 papers out of 400 odd papers, or sometimes 1000 papers, or sometimes 800 papers are there. You have to understand this phenomena, that you are the one who has to convince the editor-in-chief or the AE that this is the novelty which I am bringing into my introduction, and this is my crisp abstract, and please see this abstract, because he is going to read 700, 800 abstract, and then he will think that I may give this paper to the review process. That is why the desk rejection is very prominent. You submit a paper by evening and by midnight you get a rejection. That is very disheartening, but somebody should understand that had I written a particular line where my novelty is being clearly mentioned, that this was the novelty, and in abstract, have you written the originality of the idea? How your study is going to contribute to the academic literature, and how this will be useful for the practical implication for the managers. These are the two things which I have experienced, because in the meantime, I will be showing you how this editor-in-chief, an individual who is the supreme body, supreme power of a journal, and how associate editor and how reviewers are going to give you the instructions. So from the experience of A category journal and a B category journal, I will share you in this workshop that what they are actually looking forward from a research scholar, from a faculty. Okay, so my lecture will be towards this core issue of getting the paper at least into the review process, and then you have to handle the review process also to get your paper submitted first of all and then accepted, because our objective is to get into a quality manuscript. And first of all, nobody, I mean, I am not criticizing UGC care list, but at least the first target of a research scholar or a faculty should be to see Scopus publication. Scopus and Web of Science, these are two databases. And since we are talking about social sciences, so I'm not talking about medical sciences. Otherwise, I would have said PubMed also. But as far as we as a faculty is concerned of management, social sciences, you all should be worried about and highly concerned about Scopus as well as Web of Science databases, from where you will search the papers and where you should aspire to publish the papers. And even out of Scopus and Web of Science, the premium database is Web of Science, because in Web of Science, they publish and submit quality papers which are having impact factor. So impact factors is given only for those quality journals and the publishing houses who has been listed into SCI and SSCI. Okay, I'll be talking about SCI and SSCI in detail in my presentation also. And there another criteria is emerging sources. Fine, so that is ESCI. So Web of Science is a premium data set, database, from where you have to first of all borrow your variables. You have to work for your research paper, and then you can think of Scopus database in order to start a paper. So paper writing is actually a very big art, and understand that if I am submitting a paper into an international journal, I will be evaluated by who might be an Australian, who might be from England, Scotland, he might be from US. So you have to understand that it is not that we are playing a Ranji Trophy in India. We have to fight with a one-day international match where the ball is going to be very, very fast, and he is expecting that author must have done this thing first of all. So my lecture will be divided into 4 or 5 sections, where I will be talking about 4 to 5 passages of introduction. What is the introduction and where you have to nip the bird in the nest so that your paper is gone for evaluation for the next part, that is literature review, and the editor or the reviewer must land up in the theoretical part, theoretical framework of your research paper. So if we are looking for upscaling the research paper, first of all, defining a good research paper is the first task, which I will share my own papers with you, and you will see that it has been comprehensively revised by 2 to 4 revisions. In one of the paper, we are handling 7th revision, and one of the paper in B category in Emerald, we are handling the 4th revision. So you will see that how this onslaught of somebody from Australia, somebody from UK, and somebody from US, how they are taking taking care of your papers and what they expect from a researcher. Okay. So let me just share my screen, and then we will continue with the topic. So do let me know if the PowerPoint presentation is visible. I'm just uploading. Yes. So now this presentation is visible.
Yes, sir.
Upscaling quality of research papers.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So if we are talking about research paper, so first of all, think of only submitting Scopus journal and Web of Science indexed journal. Okay, don't think about that I am publishing a paper in UGC Care. UGC Care also says that anything which is published in Scopus is by default in UGC Care. So if you are aspiring for a good publication, at least you will go for good search also. So I always prefer to search the variables from scopus.com and webofscience.com. I rarely go for this Google Scholar. Okay, scholar.google.com. Earlier in our early times in 2010 to 15, we used to search from Google Scholar, but Google Scholar is not going to give you the premium papers or the good papers. Okay, it will give you even those papers which are not even nicely indexed in Scopus. So we might land up into inferior quality of papers also, which are published, but they are not of any good quality. So how you are going to bring the novelty depends upon the starting point and the ignition point. That is your not the Google Scholar, but Scopus as well as the Web of Science. So if I have to show you to a starting point, what is the face of this Scopus.com? This is the screen which everybody should have. This Scopus.com. Can everybody see this search documents?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in the coming time, I guess Dr. Rahul is going to also lay some focus on this thing. So I will take this topic very limited, that how to search in Scopus. But this is the area where you have to search the papers, and you must have the institutional access to search this Scopus.com instead of going for Google Scholar. So the starting point is this point, and from here you have to search the variables. And how to search the variables? So it depends upon the number of papers you have downloaded from this Scopus database. So if somebody is talking about a topic, let us say career re-entry, okay, so you need to dig with this word career re-entry. Now you can see that this is the total database which somebody can think of, that everybody in the world has got his paper published in the quality journal, and the quality journal is indexed in Scopus. So 9 papers are there. If somebody is doing a research in HR and career re-entry, these are the papers, and this is going to give you top papers, approved journals, year-wise, and the latest journals. Okay, 2022. And then you have to find out that what is written in the abstract, and they are talking about transition to entrepreneurship, and they will give you the variables, that what this paper is talking about, that we offer a model for women social support and career transitions and advocate for expanded net. So social support, career transitions, these are the variables you have to first of all collect, and career experience. Okay, so the first point is you have to copy all these abstract in one go and then paste it into Word file, then start reading and note down that what are the major areas of work which is done across the world, So writing a research paper, you have to collect the data from local community, let us say Delhi NCR, but your variables has to be global. Think global, act local. These are the things which are said, because global variables are going to give you that what is happening in the world in this particular area. Let us say in HR, in career re-entry, how females are taking sabbatical leaves or maternity leaves, and then whether they are planning for career re-entry. These can be the topics of research. So somebody has to start thinking on these lines that where to start. So this is the starting point, and these papers will enable you that what are the topics of career re-entry to technology career in India. Let us say this is a nice work and done in Manav Rachna University by S. Singh and S. Venka, and the paper is Business Perspective and Research. This is a Scopus paper, and this is of KJ Somaiya, Mumbai. The journal is from there. So you can think of that. There are some Indian international journals also doing nice job, and they can enable you that what is happening. So these abstract will give you that they have employed qualitative research method. Okay, and they have used Atlas TI as a software. So if they have done qualitative research work, you can dig out that you can work on career re-entry with quantitative research work. One research gap you can define for quantitative research work, that qualitative is done. Now we are working on quantitative with variables. This is how you have to dig out that what is the crux of this paper, what was the purpose of this study, and how you have to rearrange your thought process. So when I say research paper, good research paper, how good you have invented a new topic and how you have brought a novelty of research. This is what is expected by any good editor-in-chief who is going to receive your paper and accept your paper for review process. Once it is done, so you have passed a very big hurdle of desk rejection. So once the desk rejection is clear, then we can think of that we are into those 5 to 10% people whose paper is under pipeline, and it may or may not be accepted by the reviewers. This can be the second stage, but starting point is you have to surpass the hurdle that these databases are also with everybody who is editorial board member or any authority in the journal. So they always see that what is the topic of this paper which authors have submitted. They immediately search from Web of Science and this Scopus.com, and they find out that whether the author have included good references into their research paper or not. So if I have to say about a research paper is seen opposite side. First of all, they will see that from where the references are coming to this paper. If the references are coming from an ordinary journals, non-Scopus journal, non-Web of Science indexed journals, you can think of that what kind of mindset they will prepare in that case. So the quality of references decides the quality of variables and the research ideas, and then you can start thinking of writing a research paper. Till this point, am I clear, everybody? How to start?
Hello.
So if I have to talk about academic research writing, we are trying to write a paper like a poet. We have to think of a novelist. Why we are saying about this playwriting? Now, even if somebody is a writer for a movie, the movie is always a connected one. Okay, before the interval and after the interval. And even before the interval, you will see that a nice story is been built by the writer in a movie, and then he is bringing some idea. So the lines which you are writing should be connected to each other. Some authors are in the habit that whatever they have jotted down from the research paper, they are trying to write down because they have read the paper, so they have written the lines. But is the line connected to the previous line? The story is connected with the thought process of the research papers. You are supposed to write a story into introduction section that what is happening. So in this regard, if I have to write down in terms of introduction, you see that I am fully convinced that introduction section is the premium section of a research paper, which are going to enable you to get into your paper. So in introduction section, let us say my area is a behavioral finance. Okay, so I will be searching something about behavioral finance, and the gross area is finance and the domain is economics. Now you can understand that the bigger area is economics, and in economics the area is finance, and in finance there is corporate finance and one is behavioral finance. So I am going to work in one of these specific area from behavioral finance. So I have to use a funnel approach. Funnel approach. In the first paragraph, I have to dig out into a funnel approach, that what is being talked about in the domain of social science. In social science, economics, we are going into finance, and in finance we are talking about financial markets. And which financial markets? Indian financial markets. So if we are talking about Indian financial markets, we will be talking about emerging financial markets. So in your mindset, first of all, you must start thinking from this angle. Now I have talked about finance. Somebody can talk about marketing. Somebody can talk about HR. Somebody can talk about the domain of psychology also. So in behavioral finance, I have to think that on which area I am going to write. Let us say I select my area into retail investors. Okay, so I must search a novel topic of research. Novel topic. So writing a research paper is that there are a lot of work which has been done on retail investor. But what is new into me? What novelty I am bringing into retail investor? If I click the topic of retail investor in Scopus, okay, you see that even in Scopus, even I just randomly write retail investor. How many papers people have written on retail investors? Okay, you will see that 1023 papers are submitted and indexed into this database who are talking about retail investor. How I am different from these 1000 people? Okay, that is one which is required. So the last paper which has been indexed is by Leonard in Financial Innovation. It's an this journal is a SCI journal and a very nice journal. And the recent publication of 2022 is talking about corporate managers, price noise, and the investment factor. If I open the abstract, the Scopus database has highlighted the word that retail investors. They have talked about retail investors and managers. And now I have to read this paragraph. And then I have to make a correlation whether this paper is correlated to my line of thought or not. If it is falling with the line of thought, with my line of thought, then I will read this paper and I will take care, and then I will download this paper from the journal website, right? So they are talking about something related to behavioral explanation and sentiment and managerial in decisions. So these few variables I have to see that how this paper has been written on investor sentiment. Okay, betting against the noisy beta. So if I am intending to do a work on primary data, then I have to dig those papers which are having primary data sets. Okay, and second is, if I have to write a paper with the secondary data, then I will take out those papers which are having secondary data sets. So primary and secondary research, you have to open a particular door one at a time, right? So when we say that retail investor, so novelty. So in the first paragraph, I will be talking about economics and what is happening in the area of financial markets of a particular country, so that I can come to the area of finance. And then I will be talking about corporate finance and behavioral finance, and what is the current state of affairs for retail investors, the role of retail investors, although they are very less, because private equity firms are there, HNIs are there, FIIs are there. So retail investor, I have to bring my line of thought in the first paragraph into retail investor, and then I have to write down that for whom I am writing this paper, the first paragraph. So this funnel approach, and with appropriate citations, is the need of the hour. And citations, now I am coming to the point. If we are writing a paper in 2022, you can think of that somebody should take papers from 2016 to 22. In my recent one of my experience, the reviewer said that the author have used a very old citation of 2014. He wrote it that 2014 is a very old citation. Now, so that is why I am saying that to some extent, you can go for 2016, but primarily think of the journals which are published. So Scopus.com is going to give you organized paper 2020 backwards. So it is also solving your problem of literature search. So Google Scholar is not an authentic source of searching the papers to start an idea. So even if you are writing first paragraph, in this first paragraph, this is the need of the hour. You talk about your domain, you talk about the financial market, and you lay the need of writing this paper. Why am I writing this paper? For whom am I writing this paper? Because in the end, you have to mention that this is the practical implication, and these are the people who are going to benefit. So starting point is going to create an interest of the person who is not an Indian. So writing good English language, and then convincing, and the connectivity from first line to another, and to second to third, and to third, and build an argument like a story. That is going to be analyzed by the reviewers as well as the editorial associate editor. So upscaling research paper is like writing a story, like a novel, because novel is the one which is going to create the interest of the people, that look, I need to write, I need to read the another page, and then another page. Similarly, for a 15-page paper, you need to create an interest into your manuscript. Okay, now your idea has to be unique. This uniqueness will be arrived after reading 70, 80 or 100 to 150 odd papers, and especially their abstracts. So you need to search only. I mean, people are going for library and internet, but if you take my advice, straight away sit on the Scopus.com. Your 80% problems will be resolved by Scopus.com and webofscience.com, the databases from where you are going to search the variables. Okay, then you go for library, how people have published thesis and how people have written in Shodh Ganga. That comes into the tertiary part, but the primary part is the Scopus as well as Web of Science. So your idea will come from other papers, that these are the persons, 70, 80 people, those who have written something about a particular area, and they are also writing that persons can do this. I mean, from their future research directions, you can come out with an idea, and you can brainstorm with your co-author and or your supervisor, or you yourself can brainstorm that look, I need to work on this aspect. Take a feedback from your peers who are good research scholars or publishing good papers, and then you can think of instructors and your colleagues. So citation is the most important aspect. So if I think of quality research paper, idea will come from reading, and reading is to be done from reading abstract. At least somebody can read 15 lines, and somebody can read 10 to 15 papers in one day. So if you are a habit of reading up 10 to 15 lines in 5 to 10 minutes, jot down those points into a research register or a paper, and then you think that this is the area which people have not arrived at, or they are saying that we have not done, somebody else can do. That idea is going to be written in the first draft, and then you have to show this draft to your supervisor or your co-author. Okay, then they can also think of that this novelty can be there, or the variables can be ignored, or new variables can be added. Then you can write the research. So research is going time and again to the research papers. So first step is at least download 70-80 papers. And even if your papers are very limited, now I have given this previous search. If you have seen the previous research, only 9 papers were there on career re-entry of females. So this was the 9 results. So somebody might think that how I can study 80-90 papers when total 9 papers are written on career re-entry. So you can think of that if somebody has written a paper, it is also cited. It is also cited by somebody. This is a better citation, because Google Scholar citation is even citation for a non-Scopus paper also. But this citation is indexed in Scopus paper only. So this one individual is also your paper. Career break, and it is cited by these 2 people, these 2 persons. You click on these 2 persons, these are also your paper. Published in Organization Development Journal and Gender in Management. These are also your paper. And you can further referencing. This paper is also cited by one paper. You can go for forward referencing and backward referencing. And even if you are having 9 papers, at least these 9 papers, every paper has 40-30 references. Those references are also your references. And these are the recent. The recent paper of influence of career re-entry in Indian Journal of Ecology, COVID strengthening the disparity virus. So somebody can borrow the variables from there and see how many respondents they have taken and which technique they have applied. They have applied exploratory factor analysis, they have applied confirmatory factor analysis, they have gone for SEM. Now this is very fascinating for the research scholars, that if I study EFS, EFA and SEM, I will get my paper published. This is a misnomer. It's not a right approach that if I study SEM, my paper will be published. No, paper will be published if you are proposing a good idea and good perspective into the research. Okay, so they have adopted human agency perspective, and then they have theorized that women are not here by bystanders. Okay, but themselves contribute to the life outcomes. So life outcome is one of the variable. Self-efficacy is one of the variable. Search goals, search actions. It is very easy from reading the abstract of the other. And now you can dig more into this paper, download this paper, and then start reading this paper, because this paper seems to be correlated if somebody is writing into career re-entry. Okay. So if we have to, traditional things are very, traditional writers are like they were clearly writing, but these are the days when we are not a traditional writer. We have to write, rewrite, cancel, add, edit, delete the variables. You have many aspects of importance of technology of Scopus.com in your hand. So if you are located in Delhi, you go to Ratan Tata Library in Delhi University. They have all the resources, and if your institution has access, it's very nice. Otherwise, dig out what is the nearby institutions who have Scopus.com or webofscience.com databases. It takes only 1 hour search or 2 hour search, and then you can download the papers. So collect the references from these 2 databases, And this is how the best papers somebody can think of. And if I am writing paper into behavioral finance, so I must know who is the best journal and where is the best papers coming from. So I always read journal like MIS Quarterly. MIS Quarterly, because the H index of MIS Quarterly is very nice, close to 200. So read these benchmark Bible types papers, journals, from where you will get the clear-cut idea. Because if I have to speak about TAM theory, if I have to speak about any other theory, theory building, so these are the journals which are publishing those pioneer papers and seminal papers when somebody has proposed an idea, and then you can think of getting good variables. What is happening? It is not an easy task to get your paper published in MIS Quarterly. So if the toughest journal is there, so you will get the premium variables for your research paper also. Okay. And now I am going to start with the initializing the research paper. So I am opening the house for 2 to 3 minutes for discussion. If at this point somebody would like to ask a question, please ask. Then we can start with the introduction section. Right.
Yes. So there is one question from Ms. Akanksha Tyagi. She wanted to ask, can you please repeat the libraries you have mentioned, sir?
2 databases I have mentioned, and library. Sometimes, see, in my institution, I know that we have institutional access, but I must also know that which are the neighboring institutes also where this institutional access is also there. So in Delhi University, Ratan Tata Library, I guess we have heard that there is an institutional access, and even good institutes, premium institutes are located in Delhi. You have to only search that their library should have the access, and you get a permission from your institute, go and visit and download the abstracts. And I'll show you that all these, if I have to download 1023 papers, it will come in an Excel. In a lot of 1000 lots, we can download the Excel where the abstract will come. Then my role is to refine them, that out of 1000 papers, 80 to 90 papers are highly correlated to my thought process. Then I will go for downloading this paper, and then I will start reading. This is the first screening point of collecting the variables and bringing the models.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Pinky Singh has also raised her hand. Pinky Singh, what is your question? Would you like to ask that question from sir? Am I audible, Pinky Singh? Okay. Ms. Varudhini has also raised her hand. Do you have any question, Varudhini?
Okay.
So there is one question from Ms. Ritika R. She wanted to know, how can we access Scopus.com, sir?
Ritika, I just said that these are purchased and subscribed by the institutions. Okay. So institutions pay them. They are very costly softwares, databases. So they pay them. You have to search those institutions where the access is there. Okay. You cannot directly open up this website which I have opened, Scopus.com. Okay. So how can we extract? Okay. This is the software. Let me just show you that how to download. For example, yes. So I guess now this screen is visible. Now you can see these are the 9 documents. I will simply go for this, click on all and export. Okay. And export as CSV file, and I can mention that I need bibliographic, I need abstract and the keywords. If I click on this abstract, you will get keywords, you will get index, and you will get the abstract, funding details if you need other information. You select all and click on this CSV and click on export. The moment you will click on export, your Excel will be downloaded, and like the way we have just downloaded. And if I open this, you will get these 9 papers duly mentioning the abstract, also the volume number, issue number, page number, and every detail of all these 9 papers is there, right? Just see, I have just opened, I have downloaded these 9. So this is the title of the paper, this is the year, and it is nicely organized that since 1998 to 2022, these are the 9 persons who have done this job. This is the source, volume number, issue number, and page number, and here is your abstract. You have to simply wrap the text, and one by one you can start reading the abstract. This is abstract of paper number 1. Okay. Paper number 2. So search from, download these from Scopus. It's a 30 seconds job, but the only thing is how you search. So let us just so this way the full abstract doesn't, full abstract will come, Geeta Mishra. Okay, full abstract will come. So now I am starting with the introduction section where I was talking about that we have to upscale our paper from the introduction section. Search the target journal. Search the target journal. Sometimes we are aware of that my research paper, if I have narrowed down to 70-80 papers, you just see which is the most frequent journal which is coming time and again into your research. So that is your target journal. If you are writing a paper on investor behavior, if you are writing a paper on career satisfaction, if you are writing a paper on adoption of a technology, and you have downloaded 70-80 papers, see which is the most frequent journal which is coming into your search. That is your target journal, and then you see that your paper is aligned with the aim and scope of that target journal, right? So then you have to focus on the novelty and the significance, and what is the well-established theory which you have used into your research paper. Because if you are not writing theoretical framework, it's a hollow paper, it is going to collapse anytime, and the paper will be desk rejected at times, that the person is coming with an ordinary papers or even the only ideas. Where is the theoretical base on the basis of which the variables are built? Okay, so how your paper is adding to the existing theory. You see, Abraham Maslow, the needs will be 5, but how those 5 needs are going to be applied in a context like a collapse of economy in Sri Lanka. This is how you have to see that highly, I mean, there is a lot of financial crisis and economic crisis is there in Sri Lanka. How now Maslow theory of need hierarchy will work. You are not adding the 6th need, but you are giving a new theoretical insight that how Maslow can be applied when there is an economic crisis also. This is how your novelty and significance is there, which you have to highlight in the abstract section, originality, and the practical implication that this is going to help for the central bank authorities. I mean, any financial advisor or investor who is going to benefit. So sometimes our language of writing English is poor, so you have to think of this thing. These are basic things. I mean, citations has to be, I have said that citations should be of recent 4 or 5 years. If you have to quote a definition, then you can mention a paper of 1970. If you are using some theory, then you can have an option to bring that theory and the citation of 1980. But your idea should be new, and newness will come from new papers, and Scopus will give you hierarchical order from 2022 backwards, that this is the, and many times we have our paper rejected from the editors, even the editorial team, that your length was 9,000, we expected 7,000. First of all, bring this paper, otherwise paper is rejected. So resubmit the paper. Many times we have got our paper rejected because we were unable to reduce our own paper. So we were unable to submit our paper into that journal also. So length and format is also a prerequisite into a research paper. And write a story, because editors are going to get excited by the theory which you have used and the contribution you intend to make. Otherwise, how can you expect that they will think of an interest to your paper, which are coming in bulk? Okay, you have to make a specific mark with your introduction section and the abstract. So they are very optimistic to take the papers. But when people are not offering what they are expecting, how can you expect that they will think of your paper even? So they are optimistic bunch, but the story has to be a convincing story, and that story should start and it should not fail in the middle. Otherwise, movies are rejected by the audience because people lose interest after the interval. So they say that till interval it was right. So same thing applies to research paper also. It should have the interest in the last section of the paper also. And that particular story should be strong, should be clear, and should be very, very motivated enough and impressive enough, and duly built on theoretical support. So who are these people who are going to evaluate? They are called as reviewers, and reviewers think into tribes. They think into a tribe, and the basic trait of the tribe is that they behave similarly. If I have to, because many times when we are reviewing the paper for good journals, because now when you submit the papers and you are getting your paper published, so they send your paper for review also. So we also think similarly how somebody has treated us. So we also treat them similarly, that this is required, this citation is not good, this is very old paper, this methodology is not good, the novelty is there, the originality is not mentioned. So every tribe behaves similarly. You have to identify that particular trait of thinking process. So the thought process. Okay. So in the introduction, you have to address the thought process, the thought process of the tribe, that you have to put the words into the mouth of the editor or the AE in the first paragraph, that these are the persons who will benefit out of the research. These are the persons who got benefit out of this research, if you are writing into the paper. So in this regard, let me just show you one paragraph. I'll show you one paragraph, and then you will understand that how this first paragraph is very, very important. Okay. And let me just open this paper. This paper is getting into 4th revision, as you can see on the screen. So I am opening the revised manuscript, which I have just submitted into the journal, and let the file. Yes, this is the paper I'm talking about. Can everybody see this paper on sustainable institutes, university attractiveness?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now see the first paragraph. The first paragraph, because this is on sustainable higher education system of a country. So I know that this paper is talking about education. This is related to education. Higher education means I am talking about education. If I am talking about consumer buying behavior, I am talking about marketing, and I have to speak something about marketing. So then you have to talk about university in this regard. Look at this connector in this regard. I said that the story must be connected, one line to another line and second line to the third line. So education is the backbone of any country, and economy and helps into nation prosper. Who said it? Carnoy said it. 1 citation to 3 citation is more than enough. Not more than 3 is expected. Sometimes we are in the habit of writing 8 or 9 citations in one line. Not required. Write 3 top citations in one line. 1 is enough, but the citation has to be in the last 5 years. A paper of 2022 means 2016 onwards, 17 onwards. Okay, so education considers that it is going to have a principle of sustainable. In this regard, universities can play a bigger role, and this article brings together university and development of the country with the medium of education. This is the green line which we have revised, because they have talked about the revision into this line. So this is the revised line. The integration of sustainability into economical university system is very important. These are the this is the 1 citation of 2021. Now look at the key stakeholders who can promote sustainable. is academia executive. These are the words which you have to put into the mouth of the editor. Academia executive, policy maker, education specialist, faculty, student, alumni. From where I got these names? I got these names from the paper of Ribeiro and this Venezia. There were 7-8 more papers, but I mentioned only the 2 critical papers. And this line is going to be a clear-cut line. And I got a response from the reviewer also, that the authors have rightly addressed to the target audience, because I wrote it in such a manner, and I was smiling when he was giving me review, that the authors have clearly mentioned the target audience. So you are the one who are supposed to write that this paper is useful for these people, and they are the key stakeholders. And therefore, if I am writing a paper on sustainable university system and on their brand value, so brand value is taken from these papers, and they are useful for the society as well as for the nation. Sustainable institution also lead to good admission. These are the papers for good admission. Sound financial viability for sound. So the starting point is going to be the critical point. Look at this paper. This is the recent paper, and this is published in Marketing Intelligence and Planning. This is A category, and this paper is SSCI and having the impact factor of 4.2. Now this paper has given us a clear-cut idea that how to start. Look at this 10 lines, the first 10 lines. The topic is that how celebrity, if celebrity like Ranveer Singh is coming to give an advertisement of Maruti Baleno, okay, and the market is crashing, the market is going into recession, and the market is not behaving nicely. As you can see that May, June and July, the stock markets are not doing fine. They are not into their perfect time. Even in this time, if Ranveer Singh is coming to have an advertisement of Maruti Baleno, that means it is giving a good signal that the financial health of the company is good. So do celebrity endorsement influence that the financial health of the company is good of Maruti? So why I should not invest into the stock of Maruti? This was the idea. Now celebrity endorsement is the area of my co-author, my director, Nilesh Arora. And stock investment is my core area, behavioral finance, investment intention. This is my area. So it's an interdisciplinary research of 2 persons, and Dr. Rishi is professor of marketing in Shivnadar. So he is the corresponding author, and he has given a new dimension which is expected. Look at these lines: received on 24th January and accepted on 22nd March, and 2 big revisions has been done on 23rd of April and 18th of May. But the idea was that you have to write a crisp and clear introduction that please take our paper into review, and we are giving a novel idea into the academic literature. Look at the originality. The study offers practical implication for corporate entities and marketing professionals by analyzing retail investor intention and financial market. So this is another dimension that marketing angle can be aligned with finance. So marketing is always aligned with psychology. So I apply psychology into the mind of retail investor. So the overall branding, Aspara and Tikkanen, Prentice and Zhang, marketing discipline. Look at the paper. 2 marketing professors are there in this paper, and 1 is finance. So the gross is in the marketing discipline. We are talking about marketing discipline. That sponsorship linked marketing communication is well-known phenomena. If it is well-known phenomena, so what am I doing? I am doing something, an interdisciplinary research to develop a corporate strategy, corporate communication, and emerging area of behavioral finance. I am adding marketing angle into emerging area of behavioral finance. So the starting point is clear for whom we are writing the paper and in which discipline we are going to start our journey. So this is the crux which I am talking about that the first paragraph is your deciding point. And if you see these citations, they are not huge. One line, 2 citation, another line, 2 citation, third line, 1 citation. But 1 citation is for marketing discipline, and for corporate strategy, I have given 2. The line is comprised of 3 citations, but Powell is for marketing discipline, Mukherjee is for corporate strategy. Corporate communication is for Balmer, and behavioral finance is for Huang and Anderson. So it is not mandatory that you have to cite in the end of the line. In the line, if you are talking about 2-3 angles, so angle wise citation is required, because this is going to take you ahead in any premium journal, any premium publication house. So editor was very happy. So he gave this comment: if I have to show action taken report to Dr. Thomas Brasher Alejandro, he was the editor. So this was our first review, and look at their reviewers. Reviewers said this is an interesting topic which links marketing with celebrity to behavioral, which is and using an underutilized conjoint approach. This was his observation. So in the first line, he understood that this is the novelty, and very less papers were there. Very less papers were there on this kind of angle. Everybody was writing on retail investor. Everybody is writing on celebrity, but who are linking celebrity? So if the faculty of marketing is listening to my lecture today, they can think of that where they can align their research papers with the faculty of finance and with the faculty of psychology, with HR faculty, or I mean any finance faculty can think of writing research papers. Okay, right? So now come to the another angle, another aspect of introduction. Research topic I have talked about, that how to identify the research topic, and you have to be very, very clear about current affairs, that how people are talking about new things. So see the channels, CNBC Awaaz or France 24 or CNN. You just hear them to think about that what is the new thing which they are talking, and then you have to note down that point and then search into scopus.com. This will give you that in the present time they are discussing about this thing. Don't see the channels which are only shouting, but hear those channels which are polite in news and they are, I mean, giving good discussion. Fine. BBC, you see what is happening in the financial markets. So dig out some current affairs from them. And Economic and Political Weekly magazine journal, it's one of the finest find of India. EPW, have a habit of reading EPW, because that will give you new ideas and novelty of the variables. And then you have to only read the papers on that particular topic through scopus.com. Okay, so always start from gross work. What is gross work? What is this concept? Gross work means economics, financial markets, corporate finance, behavioral finance, and then retail investor behavior. So if somebody is writing a paper on marketing management, and in marketing management, if segmentation is the topic, then write about segmentation, then talk about consumer, and then talk about who is going to benefit out of segmentation. This is how you have to start from the gross work, the first paragraph of the introduction section, and then state the aspects which are absolutely most relevant and who has done a most important work, and only A category or A star journals, these, and B category to some extent you can cite. Okay, even in ABDC list, you see that if there are so many papers to cite, try to shrink all those papers to only A star, A and B. Present the background of your work on the most important issue which is happening, because in introduction you have to give some data. Now I have highlighted this line. Why I have highlighted this line? Because in every good journal, in the introduction, there is an data to support your argument. Let me just show you a data. Just have a look at this data. Now you see this celebrity and investor behavior. This is the data. First paragraph, we have highlighted that many research studies claim corporate identity and financial return, share price, market reaction. But we know that these people have not talked about this, what we are going to research. The data reveals 6.1 billion for celebrity in global. Now the data was also global. One of the paper who rejected our paper, he said that data is Indian data. Celebrity endorsement, you can find a global data related to global audience because you are catering to global audience. This paper is going to target the global audience. So the data should also be related to global audience. So celebrity endorsement, we took the global data of Netflix, 300 million, Ryan Reynolds, Billie Eilish, Jerry, Cristiano Ronaldo, who were paid the money to promote the company's product. Naomi, 337 billion, and in Forbes, this was published. Morning Consult report, the data was published for Generation Z customer, and then we have published data for Sequent partners. So these are not very technical data sets, but are openly available in Google. But I have to align my data with my research paper in the second section of the introduction. That is why I have written in the PowerPoint presentation that you have to now provide some data to support your argument with appropriate citation. Look at these three citations. These three citations are Forbes, Morning Consult, and Sequent partners. And now you have to learn how to give a reference for these citations because they were taken. You can mention of Economic Times. You can always use a news of Business Standard. No harm on this thing. If you're talking about financial market, you can mention, but you need to understand how to give reference. So from these papers, you can see how Forbes and Morning Consult and Sequent partners were listed, on which date we have accessed these data. Okay. So now develop a paragraph. After giving data, develop a paragraph that who has done research on this area. The first I have mentioned, write a funnel approach, gross work. Then you give a data, but in the third paragraph, you have to mention about the research work, previous research work. Okay. So I am going to show you another paper which was published in benchmarking, and on same day I got the acceptance for celebrity paper as well as this retail investor online trading. This is hardcore paper on finance. So Parvati is my research scholar. She is into her second year of PhD program. We wrote this paper, and all the faculty here are from finance. And this paper was conceptualized by my research scholar. But then we, gave the lines. Look at this first paragraph: investor preferences, finance literature, technological development, mobile payments, mobile learning, mobile money, online shopping, financial services, word-wise citation, internet and social media. Therefore, significant shift is there. Therefore, investors are playing active role in online trading through mobile apps. And Economic Times report was used, and we have created the importance for the financial markets from the domain for gross work, from gross work to the target audience. Then we talked about e-trading. And then we have given some data also here in this aspect, that what is the aspect of mobile applications. So in this is the data which we have used from Zentek 2021. Zentek mentioned that the investment app installation rate around the world, global data, not Indian data, global data, has increased in the period 19 to 20 by 140%. Now you have to come out. Research in the past. Look at this connector. Research in the past. So gross to data to research in the past. Here we have also mentioned what is e-trading, because this paper was talking about e-trading. So we have mentioned what is e-trading and then data and research in the past. Similarly, in this paper, after giving data for this various studies, research in the past. So research in the past, and this is what I have mentioned in. So if I have shared this presentation with the faculty members, you will definitely get it. And in slide number 18, you must write your introduction like this. You should, and you will see that anybody who has written a paper is writing on these lines, because we have also learned from their experience and their instructions, and how we have got our paper rejected. If the paper is accepted, it is rejected many times, and they have given so many comments, so we incorporate those comments. So develop a paragraph of previous research and then mention what is not researched, what has been done, but what not has been done. This is going to generate the problem statement. And in this paper of benchmarking, they have asked us that where is your problem statement. So we have to add the problem statement into this paper, and then you have to go for research gaps. Okay, so research gaps are to be mentioned here, that this study unfolds a novel framework and the integration of Utah framework with goal contingent theory. This was not done, and if it was done, what was the in this study? Habit of retail investor was identified as a research gap. If these are written, editor will clearly, because he is going to scan your introduction. If he finds the research gap, definitely he will think that now I can move ahead. But if he is not able to find your research gap, how can he will give your paper a next go? In next minute, he will reject your paper. Next minute, he will never give a second thought, because he has lot many papers to see. He has to work also. So you have to put these words clearly in the front of your paper, that I am going to add data analysis that reviewer will see, but at least paper should be put into revision. No? So the gradual shift, you have to see and you have to imbibe lines from the papers, and then you prepare that what are my objectives, and then summarize the paper. The paper will come into second section, third section. Similarly, this paper, various studies, what they have done and what they have not done. I mean, everybody has been doing on share price of the share of the company in the stock market, but none of them has used conjoint approach. So we have applied conjoint approach, using conjoint approach, and our objective was to get the investment decision choices and what are the best choices. This paper was on choices of investor, and this paper was on structural equational modeling, that what influence the behavioral intention, and what is the predictive relevance of investor behavior, who is important, who is performing. Again, this aspect from structural equational modeling. These are the two questions, and we have summarized, and this paper was also summarized. The paper is organized. This is the art of writing 1 page or 1.5 page of introduction, which is going to take you ahead. I hope I am making some sense.
Yes.
Till this point, if you have any question, then we can move ahead.
Yes, so there are a few questions in the chat box.
Yes.
For one question is from Ms. Varudhini Chirumamila. She wanted to ask, ideally, how many citations can be included in a paper, sir?
See, first of all, you write a paper, number one. And then you have to see whether your total paper is within the word count limit of the journal. Deletion can be done, but addition is very difficult. So there is no fixed number of number of references. Your focus should be on writing a good manuscript. So if you are into a challenge that your paper is now with 9,500 words and you need to compress this paper for 8,000 words and you have to delete 1,500 words, then you start deleting the older citations. And in one line, 1 to 3 citations are more than enough. Okay, so this is how you have to narrow it down. You cannot increase in the future, but you can decrease your content from 9,000. So take as many references from Scopus so that you can write a good paper. Then you can delete the citation, older citation.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Ms. Rupa Sinha. She has already raised her hand also. Rupa Sinha?
So theoretical, empirical, conceptual framework of a, okay. So I'm coming on this, Rupa, after introduction, we will be exactly talking about theoretical and conceptual framework, right?
And there is one more question from Ms. Ruchi Kalia. We wanted to ask, could you please suggest some Scopus index journals for corporate restructuring?
Okay. Ruchi, simply type corporate restructuring into scopus.com. You will come to know that from where the majority of the papers are coming, and those journals are going to be your target journals. If you want, I can show it online also, corporate restructuring. The moment I will share my screen again, I will put corporate restructuring. You will come to know. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
PPT
Thank you, sir.
You will get. And now is the time when we are going to move ahead with the theoretical framework. Okay, because after writing the introduction, after convincing that you have done your best, you have come out with an idea and novelty is clear, then you write down on which theoretical support your argument is built. And when you will start reading the papers, good papers, so good papers are never written without any theory. So you do reverse engineering, you see that what are the theories which are even used by the selected papers by you, highly correlated cited papers whose citation is very high. Even if you need to understand that quality of the paper, the number of citations of a manuscript is going to show the quality of the author and the quality of the paper. If the paper is cited, definitely it is a quality paper. And a quality paper is never written without theoretical framework. So theoretical framework is written on some theory. So you jot down all those theories and you see that the variables which you are bringing, which variables are aligned with that theory, and then you start writing the theoretical framework in section 2 of theoretical framework, and a paragraph is required for theoretical framework. Theory is going to mention that your variables in the study are brought from this theories. Let us say this paper. Now you see, UTAUT model, UTAUT. We used this UTAUT 2 model. UTAUT has got UTAUT 1, UTAUT 2, UTAUT 3, but we took UTAUT 2, and we also took goal contagion theory. We have integrated these two theories and we have added habit of the investor and one more aspect into this unified theory of acceptance and use of technology. So in the literature review, you have to mention that on which theories our research is grounded. The variables are coming from these with these theories. If I have to show you the PPT, after doing the introduction section, you see what I am talking is theory. Let us say this is the one of the finest paper from a very top professor in UK, Dr. Duvivedi. He has crossed 40,000 Google Scholar citations. 40,000 is a big number, and the best paper of his is written on UTAUT in mobile banking. How people are adopting mobile banking using UTAUT theory. 1032 is the citation of his one paper. And this is one of his paper where he has aligned, you tout this peer influence, facilitating condition, performance expectancy, effort expectancy. These are coming from you tout. Okay, so he said that the technology builds the attitude and technology builds the intentions to use. But he also said that if technology is coming, threat is also coming. So he has integrated technology threat avoidance theory, TTAT. The threat is also coming if technology is coming. So you see, when Corona arrived in March 2020, people were not in the habit of using Zoom technology. So Zoom, the younger generation was very quick to adopt the Zoom, but the elder generation, elder professors, the professors with 20-25 experience, they needed some help and assistance how to operate even the Zoom. So the family members helped them, the younger generation so they find it as a threat also, because they were unable to connect, they were unable to operate. So anywhere when technology arrives, threat also arrives. If I am purchasing iPhone and my age is 55, I may have a threat that I don't know how to use iPhone also. I may have a very nice money and a nice phone, but I may not be able to operate, and I may be threatened that if somebody use my username and password from my iPhone, I can be robbed of my money also. So threat is also, so he has mentioned perceived threat is also negatively influencing attitude, and perceived threat is negatively influencing the intentions also. Who said it? Papers. There were in this paper of you tout that and well-being. So novelty was well-being. Well-being of personal well-being and development concern. This is novelty. That if somebody is aligning two theories, where is the novel idea? The novel idea is psychology, the area of psychology. Well-being is introduced. So well-being is also leading to attitude. If with the help of technology my well-being is generated, definitely my attitude will be positive and I will be intending to use the technology into my organization. This is how somebody can write into higher education. You can write a paper in marketing also for a particular technology. Somebody can think of what are the newer technology. Now role of chatbots are very important. Chatbot. We are working on chatbot and investor behavior. If I don't want to interact with my broker in the night, I can talk to chatbot, because chatbot is not sleeping. So chatbot is what? Artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is being used for financial investment decisions also. So I can use this model, and the threat also, the chatbot can give me wrong and inappropriate advice, because he might be giving for a particular context. He don't know what is my context. So I may lose money by taking advice from chatbot also. So threat is also there. So I need to understand that what am I taking into theoretical aspect, but the theory, the theory which you are going to write, like here, which are the theories of information technology acceptance and adoption? This is theoretical framework. Theoretical framework will mention that starting is IT, IS research, theory of planned behavior, you tout theory, and then we came to goal contagion theory. We have integrated this theory with another theory, and the convenience with, this is how you give an environment. Environment is big. So the question of I guess Rupa was on theoretical framework. Theoretical framework will tell you that your variables are grounded on which theories. Otherwise, if you are putting up blocks, they can be demolished anytime. But if they are well grounded into the basement or into the ground, then I guess nobody can challenge them. So even if this paper was there, we wrote it, and I was critically mentioned on this expected utility theory. Reviewer suggested me. I gave some another theory, but he corrected me that in economics, you should be using expected utility theory for measuring choices. My paper is on choices and I applied conjoint analysis. Decision making, choices, and choices means application of conjoint. So I use expected. And Starmer is the one who has done wonderful work into this expected utility. So I have gone to the books of behavioral finance and this Newman and Morgenstern. I read Newman and Morgenstern's paper of 1947 and published later on, but they have talked about expected utility and then this equation, and after this thing, celebrity, and we have got the signaling theory. Because if Ranveer Singh is coming to launch Baleno and the markets are down, it is giving a signal that company is good, financial health is good. So we based our model onto signaling theory, and signaling theory is of media. We are into management department, but we used a theory of corporate communication from media, the faculty of media. They approved that yes, signaling theory, we are teaching signaling theory to media students. So signal emitting, and the Spence has got Nobel Prize on giving this signaling theory. This was very amazing to read the paper of a Nobel Prize winner. So this is theoretical framework which is going to show you that these are the theories which are explaining that celebrity is also leading to investment decision. Okay, and another one was Elliott wave principle. So this was also a theoretical framework. Then you come to a model, and then you call it as a conceptual framework. That celebrity type is important. I mean, entertainment celebrity or sports celebrity, maybe it is Amitabh Bachchan or it can be Virat Kohli. So we took two celebrity type into this paper, and this is constituting our conceptual framework, conceptual model. Reputation of financial services, technology firms, FMCG, sportswear. These are the companies which we took, and then level of endorsement is this all about the building the model concept which we are proposing. Celebrity matchup. I mean, Amitabh Bachchan should not be promoting Reebok and Virat Kohli should not be promoting financial services. Such kind of things is called as matchup typology. And then launch time means that market is up or market is down. So variable, where these variables arrived? These variables arrived from Scopus. After reading so many good papers, we came to know that these are the variables, and from these variables we got a choice. Okay, and this is same was for another paper that we took perceived risk, effort expectancy, performance expectancy, effort expectancy and performance. This was borrowed from Utah theory, and we added perceived risk, we added perceived return, and we added habit of the investor, and facilitating conditions was from Utah theory, social influence. So theory can give you variable also, theory can give you idea also, and then you build these kind of models to get your paper published, and it's not a very technical job, let me tell you. Right?
Yes.
So conceptual, and it's a nice question. What is the difference between theoretical framework and the conceptual? If you are not writing theory, it can be a very clear-cut case of rejection of your paper. It can be. So think of this fintech adoption. You can add variables like risk, value, and you can bring a model. And this is published by somebody. And this is another model, that self-determination theory. That if I relate myself to my organization, let us say if I'm teaching in Delhi University, I can relate myself to Delhi University, and it is relatedness can lead to enjoyment. I will start enjoying my teaching in Delhi University. Who said this thing? I have not said this thing. Self-determination theory said this thing. So my variables must be grounded on some theory, that who is leading to who. I can go wrong in building the hypothesis, but theory will never allow me to go wrong, because as per theory, relatedness leads to enjoyment. Otherwise, researcher might take an incorrect paper who is not indexed in Scopus and can say that enjoyment leads to relatedness. So conceptually you can go wrong, but theory never allows you to go conceptually wrong. So second is hedonic motivation systems adoption. In this paper, the author has integrated these two models, these two theories to bring a model that if I relate myself to Delhi University or IP University, I will start enjoying into IP University, and this motivation will lead to working in the IP University, continuous intentions. And then you can bring 4 or 5 new variables and your model is ready. So think on these lines, and this is another paper on conceptual framework, and it is thoroughly dipped into theoretical framework, SOR. I am sure that faculty, those who are listening from organization behavior, because in MBA or even in BCom program, organization behavior is there as a subject, and in the first 2 chapters, people are actually teaching SOR model: stimulus, organism, and response. So stimuli is what? Stimuli is that I got an SMS. I mean, Raymond's is giving me an SMS. So whether that SMS is valuable to me, it is stimuli. And research paper will give you variables that SMS was credible, it was an entertaining SMS, and SMS was giving me informativeness. And sometimes too many messages can give me irritation also. And it may happen that message has some relevance also. Maybe Diwali is coming and Raymond's has given me a SMS that you can avail 50% discount. It may have a relevance. So if perception towards SMS is built as far as stimuli is concerned, it can lead to value. It can develop my attitude. It can straight away lead to intentions also. Purchase intention. Response is intention. Organism is value and attitude. 100% dipped into theory, theoretical framework, SOR. Bring your models, bring your variables, because these are the guidelines to get into a quality and successful publication. And upscaling is not that you bring some good accessories. Upscaling means you do a work nicely and as per the requirement of the journal. Every journal thinks similarly because they behave like a tribe. And I have mentioned that academicians think like tribes, and tribes behave similarly and think similarly. So if academic people are concerned, editors and reviewers think similarly across the world, and they think like this. And you have to address your paper like this. So if you are reading quality papers and you can bring your papers like this, nobody can challenge your paper, and you will be able to get clear-cut insight into these papers. Right? So let us go for some question answer round, and then we can take a break. Afterwards, I will come to the next section of publications asked. Right, ma'am?
Yes, sir. So Ms. Akanksha Tyagi has raised the hand. Akanksha Tyagi, please put up your questions. So he has put up his question like, can we build a model using 2 variables?
2 is very less. 2 is very less.
And
so Vikrant, SOR is a theory. Okay. Theory, on that theory, you can bring any stimuli. I mean, a faculty of sports. I mean, one of my co-author, she has written, she's a German, and she has written a paper with Chinese people on sports. On sports. Her stimuli for doing a sport activity was different. So stimuli can be for anything. Organism is the product which involves that. Even if you can write on alcohol, you can think of what are the clear-cut stimuli for consuming an alcohol. Okay. Or you can write on soft drinks. What are the stimuli for having a soft drinks? What can lead to the soft drink intake? It can lead to positive intake. I mean, if you're thirsty, it can lead to negative intake, that it is having caffeine into it. So SOR is a theory, and S can be anything related to your context. It can be related to sports. It can be related to any of the area. Theories are universal. Models are specific. Theories can never go wrong. We can go wrong. So always align your variables on a theoretical framework. You can either start from a theory, then bring the variable, or you can bring the variables and align them with the theory. Choice is yours, but ultimately the paper should have both conceptual as well as theoretical framework. In literature review and introduction, we have talked about that how to bring an argument in the introduction. Introduction is different from literature review. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Ruchi Kalia has raised her hand. Ruchi, can you put your
Sir,
question?
good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
again, the same question. Please show me how we can identify the journals on Scopus.
Okay, so let me just give you corporate restructuring. Okay, somebody asked for corporate
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
restructuring. Okay. So this is Scopus, and let me just write the word corporate restructuring. Corporate restructuring. 811 are the good papers. So what you can do is you can go here and you can restrict this 811 papers only to business management and finance. Okay. Out of, because this 811, somebody in mathematics has also written on restructuring, on biochemistry, they are not related to us. We can limit our research in Scopus to our own domain. Now 811 is reduced to 516. Then you can limit these papers to only 2022, 21, 20, 19, 18, 5 years. Okay, and the language can be restricted to only English written papers and limit to. So 811 is reduced to 73 papers. These are clear-cut papers on corporate restructuring, and then you can click on all and CSV export. And in CSV, then you must see that majority of the papers are coming from which journal. Look at my cursor. In sources, you have to see that Global Business Review, GBR, it's an Indian paper running from Delhi IMI Institute. Problems and Perspective in Management, and Emerging Market Finance and Trade. So where majority of the papers are coming, they are your target journals, right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now everything is downloaded into this Excel. This is the Excel of all those 73 top papers, and 2022 papers are there, as you can see on the screen. Then these are 2021 papers. What best Scopus can do for you? It can do this wonderful thing for you, and then you start reading only related papers according to you. And these are the journals. You can see there is a command in Excel, similar titles. I mean, where similarity is coming, so it will give you that where papers are coming from these journals. These are the journals. SEMS Symbiosis journal is there also. GBR is again coming. Australian Economy. So Vision, MDI Vision is also there. So they are actually publishing corporate restructuring. So you can think of these good journals. In 2022, Asia Pacific Business Review has published. So you can think of this journal also. It's a good journal. GBR is also good journal.
Thank you for the help, sir.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question from Akanksha Tyagi, that how link and test the theory included in your research papers?
How link and test the theory? The question is not clear, I guess.
Akanksha, would you kindly put up your question?
The theory. Testing is done on the variables. And then in the theoretical framework, we say that in our context, these were the significant variables, these were insignificant variables. So in Indian context, we have added this new dimension. This we can do. But we cannot test a theory, because theory has been tested by somebody else. He has given the idea. How that idea is working into Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, or in Japan, it depends upon my research. Research to research. theory behaves differently into different contexts that you can generate in theoretical implications.
Thank
Right,
you.
Akansha?
Shall we proceed for breaks, sir, now?
Yes, ma'am. So we are coming by 2:15.
Yes, it's 2:05. We'll be coming by 2:15
Okay,
or after 15 minutes. Megha, over to you.
sure.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. Now, I would like to request all the participants to proceed for the 15 minutes break. We will be resuming our session again at 2:15 p.m. on the same link.
Shall we start, sir?
And I guess we are ready, and participants can be ready for the next.
Yes, or shall we start after 5 minutes?
No, it's okay. I'm done. So we can have a next round of
Okay, sir.
activity for upscaling the paper.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Over to you, Megha.
We welcome you all again. Now, I would request our respected resource person, Dr. Atul Shiva, sir, to take over the session again. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Megha. And in the first session, you must have observed that I was very much, suppressing on the aspect of introduction. Okay. So that is the importance of introduction, and then literature view, and then the story should move to conceptual framework, and then you come out with a model. So if it is a primary data, you can create a variable like this. If it is a secondary data, you have to show it that what are the variables on which data collection has been done from an authenticated source. It should not be from Yahoo Finance or something which like, it should be like from Provis database or from Bloomberg. And in MDI Gurgaon, I guess Bloomberg access is there. You can go with the permission letter and get your variables downloaded from Bloomberg database. And if Provis is there, so Provis is also available over there. And in primary data, you need to build a questionnaire. You have to mention what is the research design, what is the sampling technique, what is the time of study, and what is the statistical operations you have used, why you have used a statistical operation, and why other tools, other softwares you have not used. So subject is not data analysis. Subject is what are the contents of research methodology, which you have to mention in RM section, in the third section. So people are 100% focused upon a technique, and their mind is technique oriented. And some people write technique into introduction that this technique has been done. This technique is not the area of focus. Variable is the area of focus. Which variables you are talking about, which variables you have added, what you are doing on the theoretical framework, which theories you are talking about, which theories you are integrating, and what are the key variables of input, who is helpful, who is going to be the target beneficiaries of your research. In introduction, you have to mention. So having said this thing, now I will again come back to my presentation. And yes, so I guess now the presentation is visible. So if I have said about research topic, okay, yes, we have talked about this thing, research topic, introduction, gross, data, this we have discussed. Everywhere in all these sections, the first thing is never ever make long paragraphs. This is not at all acceptable by any reader. Any reader, that can be anyone, reviewer, editor, or any editorial team. It is not advisable. Even the proofreading, if you are going for proofreading of your manuscript, they will also break down your long paragraphs into short paragraphs. So while we were also going for the proofreading services, so they have shortened our lines, and they have given that make shorter lines to explain the line. You break the lines into 2 to 3 lines, because we are in a habit of writing long sentences. This is the first thing, that use simple English. No camouflage or flowery English. It is not required at all in any of the paper, because even in an English speaking nation, they will expect to read a manuscript which is simple to read. It is not like, I mean, you must have heard how Shashi Tharoor is speaking. The fluency of the English language, I mean, sometimes we are unable to understand what he is speaking. If we are in a habit of writing our paper into that tone, I mean, it is not going to make a mark, and it might get rejected also. And even your own colleagues might, or co-author might not support this long paragraph with technical English language. So even in every line, you have to use like in order to, furthermore, additionally, diverse research studies, contrary to this. There are so many points which you can use, and never ever show bullet points. I mean, we are not writing a research project of MBA. Try to use minimum words into italics. Avoid doing this thing, and don't try to say that like, I mean, I have written this line, I have given a bold line. For giving a presentation, I can lay a more focus, but for writing a paper, I will never do this in the manuscript. Okay, so the first letter, this was the suggestion given in Marketing Intelligence and Planning Journal. The last stage of a second review, the reviewer said this thing. I mean, let me just show you on the action taken report, ATR, on my second review of the paper on 10th of May. In one of the communication of a recommendation, the reviewer said this thing, that the first line, I mean, even for the quality of the communication, look at, does the paper clearly express its case and journal readership? The sixth point is about journal readership. So he has said that yes, after proofreading and after a lot of corrections, and this is the response sheet, we have gone for the professional proofreading. We have made corrections in removing typos, grammatical errors, and as per the suggestion of another esteemed reviewer, we thank you for accepting our manuscript. Look at this fifth point, implication for research. And they are looking for economic implications, commercial impact of your paper. How does the paper bridge the gap between theory and the practice? Now, if we have not written theoretical framework, if we have not written the conceptual framework, and if we have not mentioned introduction in the introduction section, that for whom we are writing the paper, how can we write implication, and how can we address to this question? Because these are the parameters on which reviewers are going to judge your paper. First is, the editor is going to give you for revision, but now this is for the reviewer. The question is, how can research be used in practice? You have to write something if the paper is related to public policy, research, and how your paper is contributing to the body of knowledge. If we are not addressing these lines into our discussion section, practical implication, theoretical implication, then you will find a lot of things from them. Are these implications consistent with the findings and conclusion of the paper? Sometimes our findings are saying that A is not leading to B, and we are saying that the paper is going to contribute for these managers. I mean, our conclusion and the finding should align with the implication section also. People are in the habit of writing that, look, we are 3 co-authors, you write data analysis, you write introduction and literature review, and I will write the implication section. People divide the paper into 3 authors and 3 subsections, while I have said that it is a story. Story has to start from the top and it has to end in the end. Last paragraph. So how can somebody divide the paper into 3 aspects, that you are the data analyst and you are the introduction, and this is not the paper type of paper we are supposed to write. We have to align. If somebody has written theoretical and literature review, theoretical framework, everybody should read all those papers and everybody should focus collectively on the implication section. So they have yes, so we have moved on. Thank you for your kind approval. Your valuable suggestions has improved the discussion section. This is second review. I'll show you the first review where they have grilled us a lot. So are the results presented clearly and analyzed appropriately? Do the conclusion tie up with the other elements of the paper? Look at this word, other elements of the paper. So if our authors have divided the elements, how can we write clear data analysis and interpretation? Our results must be clear, our language must be clear, our data analysis must corroborate with the implication section, because point 4 results are going to give the implication, and implication should be aligned with the introduction and literature review. That is why it's a combined story. I cannot write a Thirsty Crow by 3 authors. Okay, Thirsty Crow cannot be written by 3 authors, that somebody will talk about pebbles, somebody will talk about thirst, somebody will write that how he flew away. We have to write in one go. Now, the third section, whether the argument was built on appropriate base of theory. Now, I guess the person who were asking the question on theoretical framework and conceptual, look at this line. They are going to measure you that whether your paper is based on a theory or not, and your concept and the idea which you are bringing are grounded on a theory or not. Has the research on which the paper is based is well designed? Have you been able to design the paper well? Question number 2. Methods. I mean, data analysis is only a segment of a total paper. This is the question. So they said that yes, the method is appropriate to aim the data of the research. However, one of the base theory, which is a wave theory, is not appropriate. So he was not convinced about our wave theory. So we have defined our theory properly. Okay, we have revised our manuscript to state the wave theory properly, and we have revised our wave theory as a principle. Okay, so second is, does the paper contain new and significant information? This is the first thing. So the answer was, it presents an original and new approach. So instead of teaching from a PPT, you should see this is how we are handling the onslaught of these reviewers. And they are very kind reviewers. They are suggesting us improvement also, because they are the parameters for doing a research. And he said it, reviewer number 2, that your research bridges successfully behavioral finance with marketing. And that was our idea when we conceptualized. And it is socially subjective upon perceptions and through generations. So he has said us that you should repeat this research in next 5 to 10 years. And then you see how social waves are going to be there. I mean, today it is Ranveer Singh who is launching Baleno. After 5 years, there might be some another hero, and there might be some another scenario for financial market. Maybe financial markets are growing and it is different in 2027 or in 2030. So he has given us, so all these 6 points are used by some another reviewers also. Quality of communication, implication, result section, methodology, literature review, and does the paper contain new? So he has said yes, he has said yes, he has said. So in order to bring them to this yes, 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 there is a lot of revision. Now you see the action taken report on the first time when they took it by the editor-in-chief, and then they said it. This is the reviewer comment. Reviewer comment. So he was absolutely confused about individual investor and retail investor. He said, if the study is focusing on retail investor, why it is this? Offshoots can be research. So you have to convince. You have to convince. And where he is suggesting us, revise that thing. So we have revised our research quotient too, according to retail investors. right? And in emerging market, we have used another citation of 2022 and 2021. It was a cakewalk for us to bring this citation because we had a scopus.com and we can access it anytime. So we immediately found this he et al. 2022 to talk about the information asymmetry. Second is, he said, signaling theory is presented as theoretical backdrop, but it is not incorporating this study specifically. So we have used it extensively. He found our theory not studied specifically, but we applied it extensively and convinced him that these signals are important for salability to financial market. So this can happen to any paper. This is one of the guidelines. And another is hypothesis development. He said they are ill-defined. Ill-defined. So we defined them. Okay. Type of investor. We defined type of investor clearly. This is how we have given response. Okay. Next is, he was not happy with a paragraph number 2.2.3 for literature review section. So we improved the literature review section with these lines. He was not happy with hypothesis 3 and hypothesis number 4 on level of endorsement and typology. We improved the lines. And let me tell you, in any research paper, please don't use inverted comma. Use inverted commas only if you are borrowing a definition. And if you are borrowing a definition, you have to mention page number also. Page number also. So the reviewer asked us, page number are needed with quotes. Look at this. I mean, I'm highlighting this thing. He asked us that you have used this inverted comma. So in that particular thing, he needed a page number. So I had to read the paper of Mishra and Beatty, which is the seminal paper. And I read this 1990 paper, and on page number 161, I have got this line where we have written something about this characteristics. Then we were using inverted commas. So inverted commas should not be used if you want to lay some emphasis. You think it is important and you use inverted commas. So inverted commas, please use rarely, because if you are using, you use it for some definition. And this is the way you have to write page number 161 from where you have borrowed these inverted commas. He was not happy with launch time also. So we have mentioned dominant trend when the stock market is up and when the stock market is down. We have improved the paragraph of literature review, and that particular hypothesis we have improved. He was not happy with hypothesis 6, how it is different from hypothesis 1. So we mentioned how this has to be done. So please understand that when you want to upscale, you might be rejected. You might get rejected because people don't want to spend so much time on you. But if the editor is happy that the paper can be reviewed, so reviewer might reject you, might suggest you also, if they have time. So if they have time, so you can improve your paper, but majority of the times people don't have time and they reject your paper. So don't do these mistakes. You can learn from this real time information which we are doing it. I mean, this is a published paper, therefore I can show this thing, that how we have improved. Mention and bold and highlight into the research paper how you are improving. He was not happy with the technique also. He said that, do you have a reference? I said that I have a reference, and he page number 422, I have used page number 422 also. So operationalization, he was asking for which time period. So we mentioned which time period and where we have conducted. And I found another economics observatory 2021 and Word Outlook update also to justify the paper. And he was also not happy. He said that the results are vague. The results are vague and hypotheses are not covered. So you have to justify that your hypothesis. So you have to highlight where your hypotheses are to be justified. And then he's saying that a better explanation of the method would also help illuminate such aspect. The future research directions are vague. So you have to improve the future research directions also. What other people can do from your study. I mean, he wanted us to say what another researcher can take out from your paper to start their own paper. So we have mentioned that people can do exploratory research design. So these are the things. We have given additional variables also. Look, we have not done on these topics, but future people can use these topics in their papers. We have done on investor behavior, people can do on brand equity and value of the firm. So you have to, in the first revision, he said, rewrite the paper. Rewrite the paper. So we have organized the paper and now has said that the target audience of the journal, we have tried our significant changes. So please understand that upscaling is not a single thing which is required, but these are the 6 parameters which you need to incorporate in your paper also. Okay. And if you are using inverted commas, page number is also required, page number 12. Inverted commas. The author must mention that, I mean, use only inverted commas for seminal papers, the base papers, from where the birth of the paper has been there. Avoid using inverted commas. Okay. And avoid using single commas also. Sometimes people say, this is important, this is important, this is important, and in commas, 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 remove those commas, single commas also. The references should be recent. We have talked about take seminal paper only if we are using older papers. And sometimes people are into the habit of using Mendeley. Now, I am not at all happy with the art of using Mendeley. IEEE Explore and engineering papers, they are preferring to use the Mendeley software because you have to put. But even by using Mendeley software, your citations are not complete. You might miss page number, volume number, issue number. There are some things which you have to find out, and your errors are lot many. So I suggest you to do it manually. Okay, where the requirement is to use Mendeley, you have to use Mendeley or softwares for referencing. But if it is not mandatory, you have to do it manually so that every reference, every citation is perfect. Tomorrow you need to delete also some older citations, and now you have to mention the results and discussion section. Who has been benefited? Who has been benefited from your study? And limitation and research. Sometimes, now you can see that the author has also asked us to mention the future research directions are vague. He wanted us to improve last paragraph also. He wanted us to improve last paragraph also. So we cannot criticize our own paper, which we have written in all the 6 sections. Criticism should be constructive. Criticism should be constructive. How it is constructive? You can say that our study was quantitative. Other researchers can do qualitative studies. We have used non-probabilistic sampling. The other researchers can use probability sampling technique. If I am using structural equational modeling, somebody can use sentiment analysis, thematic analysis, and word count. Okay. Avoid criticizing our own paper and don't highlight negative points. You have to mention that these are the variables which we have not taken. But while literature view, there are many variables which you ignore also. So you can mention important variables which other can use. So your future research direction and limitation should be constructive. Now people are in the habit, our study was done in India and it can be done at, our study was done in Delhi NCR, it can be done in India. Our study contained only 200 respondents, people can work with 1000 respondents. Fine. These kind of silly limitations people are writing, that I mean, the context can be changed. It can be applied in South India, North India study can be applied in South India. I mean, generalizations, these are very ordinary limitations. Your limitation has to be very extraordinary limitations. That my research design was different. My statistical techniques was different. My context, I mean, least talk about the context that it was done in. So think from these angles that how positive, because your research gap will come from another paper's limitations. When you will do 70-80 paper reading from their limitation and future research direction, you will bring the novelty. What they have not been able to do, you will do. So a good category journal, top tier journal with an impact factor, they will never publish a paper who are weak in particular section, even if it is limitation and future research directions. Because they know that a paper should also contribute and give a launch pad for other researchers also. And when you have written the complete paper, please then write abstract. Look at the conferences. When people are asking for conferences, they are writing, submit your abstract. Paper can be submitted afterwards. I mean, how can somebody write an abstract when he has not written a paper? So always write abstract when you have completely written the paper. Grab the attention. Target audience. Now look at this. Let me show you another paper. This paper is on stock hunting. Now everybody can see this third paper, stock hunting or blue chip investments.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now look at this paper is also on conjoint. And I just did that retail investor behavior. How social media is enabling people to invest. I mean, if Tata Motors is having a Facebook page and Tata Motors provides some valuable information, and I think that this information is very important for the quality of the product. And if a quality of product is there, definitely people will buy. If demand is there, company will get maximum sales and the revenue will increase. If revenue will increase, company's health will increase. Therefore, I should invest into a particular company like Tata Motors. So social media can also enable somebody to do stock hunting. Stock hunting means intraday trading. You see what is happening in intraday trading. People hunt the stocks, buy, sell, or people invest into blue chip investments. So when we say in preferences, we talk about conjoint. So your abstract is to be written in the end. The purpose of the study. What was the purpose of the study? Social media environment. In this paper, I mean, my area is structural equational modeling and my area is conjoint. This 2022 paper is on celebrity endorsement. This 2020 paper is on social media environment. The dependent variable is same, investment intentions. And then you have to mention that what was the area, Delhi NCR, 421, conjoint technique, what were the major findings, and what is the originality. Look at the originality. The study thus integrate the gap between marketing theories of social media and emerging theories of behavioral finance. Right? So try to convince in the originality that this is new, this is original, this is value to your journal. Then people will take on your paper. And upscaling means please write abstract as a second last topic for writing something. Because if you are writing abstract in the beginning, that means you are already aware of findings. You are already aware of your limitations. You are already aware of your novelty. No. The first thing is you go for a variable search, you start writing literature review, then move on to introduction section, and then do for research methodology, data analysis and implication, and then come for limitation, and then write your abstract. After abstract, please mention your title and frame your title. Now, title also catch hold of the eye of the editorial team. If your title is very fancy title, sometimes very fancy title, and I always recommend the titles from JSTOR publications. I mean, this JSTOR publication, if you are in the habit of reading research paper from JSTOR, you will find a very fancy titles. I borrowed this title. Look at this title. It's a very catchy title. Stock hunting or blue chip investments. Investors' preferences for stock in virtual geographies of social network. Geographies of social network. I mean, I wanted to write social media environment, but I find this line, this word, title is framed from the titles. Okay. If I have written a paper, I have written the abstract, then I will go to my references. My references means these are approved titles. From these approved titles, from titles, I will create a title. This is the technique. I mean, computers and education, very nice journal. International Journal of Bank Marketing, A category journal. So computers in human behavior, A category journal. Aren't these a top tier journals? If the top tier journals are there, publications are there, they are approved title. They have gone through at least 2 to 3 reviewers and the eye of the editor-in-chief. That means these titles are going to suggest you the title. So title is prepared like this. Some people are not in the habit of taking the fancy titles. They're not in the habit of fancy titles. So try to be concise. In my journal, they said that, look, your title has to be very simple. So my author, Dr. Rishi, he converted my fancy title into ordinary title, a very, very simple title. And this was approved. So sometimes we get review on title also. In some journals, fancy title works. Look at this JSTOR publication, which I was talking about for fanciness. Look at this Wilcox 2003. This is the Journal of Business JSTOR, very top tier journal is there. They have written on mutual funds. Their title was Bargain Hunting or Stargazing, Investors' Preferences for Stock Mutual Funds. So I was fascinated by this title, and mine was Stock Hunting or Blue Chip Investments, and mine was on stock, equity stocks. So sometimes title suggests you your title. Don't try to make your own title, which you think. First of all, jot down out of 70-80 references, which are very nice titles. Jot down 10 to 15. Out of 10 to 15, then sit with your co-authors or your supervisor to frame a single title. I mean, this is how my supervisor guided me. My supervisor, when my thesis title was to be framed, so he did it in front of me and he explained me that how you will write your titles in the future. So I learned this technique from him. So this was a contribution from my author. I mean, a very simple and crisp title: Do celebrity endorsement influence stock investment intentions? Question mark. That's all. So title is also important. You understand that you are standing in Kashmiri Gate and there are a lot of books lying on Kashmiri Gate. Which book you will pick? That book which catch hold of your eye's attention on the basis of title of the book. Then you will try to read the book that there must be something good in the. So title is also very important. If you are not serious about title, it may get an ignorance, eye of ignorance, despite quality research paper. So title is very important. Next is, look at this thing. I mean, one of the finest professor in Lisbon, I guess, Nicholas Danks. His title, The Piggy in the Middle, the role of mediators in PLSM, a research note. I mean, the piggy in the middle. Look at the cat eye catching candy kind of title. Prediction in HRM research, a gap between rhetoric and reality. Sometimes these are also very, yes, the starting point can be fancy or the ending point rhetoric and reality. The another paper on higher education. This fast car can move faster. I mean, the title is higher education. The paper is on PLSM in higher education, but this fast car can move faster. Actually, this car has moved so fast in the area of higher education because the idea was very new. Have your cake and eat it too. PLS, ML and PLS by Majid Ghazmi. Both of these titles are written by Majid Ghazmi. Both of these titles are written by Nicholas Danks. And these are my own titles. Do celebrity, stock hunting or blue chip, do celebrity influence. So we have to learn from other people's title also, how they are thinking. Majid Ghazmi is from Malaysia. Nicholas Danks is a European. That's it. So we are Indian. We have also written the title. Last but not the least, how well you are writing your cover letter. I mean, in initial days, we were writing ordinary letters that we are submitting our paper. Please consider our paper into your esteemed journal. These were the lines which we were writing in cover letter. How can you ignore a cover letter when you are addressing your cover letter to the editor-in-chief or the associate editor, AE? Your cover letter has to be a very, very official document which you should be writing. So your paper should be into the form of a request. So one of my author from Germany, she gave me, I said that you write a cover letter for my paper. So she wrote a cover letter, and then I learned how Germans are writing cover letter for their papers. So she wrote about the novelty of the paper. She mentioned the research questions in our manuscript, and then she wrote a paragraph, small paragraph, and convinced with the argument that why our paper is aligned with your objectives. In the line, she has written that we are fully convinced that our paper aligns with your objective. I mean, you have to use a cover letter as a tool to convince that at least we are not out of your range. We are within your range and we are close to your range. And these days, ethical approval statement is also important. So one of my paper was asked thrice to resubmit. And now we have got the ethical approval from our university and other university. So this ethical approval statement that the departmental academic integrated panel has given due permission to conduct the study on students. We got consent from other universities, and the data will be confidential and anonymity. In the end of the paper, you have to give disclosure statements. The author declared no conflict of interest. The data is available on reasonable request. I mean, paper is very nice paper, but we got rejection just because of this thing. Let me just show you. Just have a look at this line, that ethical consent is also important for each one of you. If you are conducting a study on students, on human beings, all these kind of things. So this paper, the last communication, we have again submitted this paper. So manuscript with decisions. If you see the manuscript with decision, they rejected our paper. And in the decision letter, just have a look at the decision letter. They have said this is a very interesting paper, but it has been rejected in its current form as there is no statement regarding ethical consent or permission in the paper. That is why I have included this point into this presentation, that you should also use an ethical consent and permission in the end of the paper, or you have to mention in the research methodology section that which panel, which authority, whether you have got due permission to conduct a study or not. Otherwise, this might happen with you also, that please add a couple of sentences to explain the ethical consent and permission obtained from the institution and during the study. Okay. On one side, he is convinced with the interesting paper. On the another side, he is rejecting our paper because of ethical consent and permission, and he is suggesting us that if you will include this and you must have a proof also. It is not that you are doing it just for the sake of writing. You must have approval also to do a study on the student. So we have got the approval, and now we have added on higher education skills and work-based learning. So this is one of the important aspect in the research paper. Then you can target a Scopus journal. Now I receive many times, excuses from the researchers and many from the faculty members, more from the faculty members and less from the research scholars, because whenever a research scholar say that I don't get a time, so we can criticize that person, that if you are not getting time for research, who will get a time for research? But if a faculty member, they are saying that there are here, and so please take a time which is the best time when you are free. It is not that every day you have to sit for 8 hours. You have to sit for 1 hour or max 2 hours. Some people devote times in the morning, some people devote times in the evening. You have to select a time. Some people work only on Saturday, Sunday. Some universities are allowing the faculty to leave on Saturdays and Sundays. So this is one of the suggestions which I got from one of the guest speaker in my university, Dr. Julia Robert from Australia. So she was editor-in-chief, and she said that I write my paper only on Saturday, Sunday. No time to the faculty, to my family. And these are the 2 days when she is writing her research papers. So religiously, you have to write 10 to 15 lines in a day. More than enough. More than enough. 10 to 15 lines. It can be a hypothesis. It can be the paragraph of introduction which I have explained to you. Second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph. After 45 days, you will come to know that you have written 50% of the paper. That is introduction and review of literature. This is the power of research. If timings is ignored, nobody can do research paper in 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. It is next to impossible to write a paper in 5 to 10 days. So timing is very important. Spotting a gap. Yes. So let me just come to the next point. Next point is, please see if you have a bibliometric paper on your domain. Bibliometric paper. I will show you, those who are not aware of what is a bibliometric paper. If you are writing a paper and you are writing a paper on corporate strategy, you must find who has written something on corporate strategy with a bibliometric paper, and from this paper you will get new ideas of research. Okay, either you get a paper who is published, or you yourself do bibliometric analysis and publish a paper. When you will do bibliometric analysis, you will find the new ideas. So there are two options. Either somebody is doing bibliometric analysis for you and getting his paper published in a quickest moment of time. If somebody says, I can write a paper in 1 month, I can agree if he's saying I am writing a bibliometric paper. Okay, it's very easy to write bibliometric paper in 1 month. Or you do bibliometric analysis. How bibliometric paper analysis look like? Now let me show you that particular aspect. Just give me 30 seconds. Yes. So I always respect, those faculty members, because I know in finance who is writing bibliometric paper. And in NIT Jaipur, Professor Satish Kumar is doing wonderful job, and at the international level, not at the Indian level. He has surpassed so many citations. He is in thousands, and the papers are in A*A. Every day a new paper is coming, because he is writing bibliometric analysis papers on the domain of finance. So try to find out who is doing bibliometric analysis, or even if you are unable to find an author who is writing bibliometric analysis, you go to scopus.com immediately. your solution will be there. Basic search. At least do the basic search. And if I have to see corporate restructuring, I will write AND operator, inverted commas, bibliometric analysis. Bibliometric analysis. So I can write who is doing bibliometric. Nobody has done any paper on bibliometric analysis on corporate restructuring. So as a researcher, you can learn the bibliometric analysis and download the corporate restructuring 70-80 papers and perform the bibliometric analysis and get your paper published very easily. I mean, because they are adding value to the researchers. So if I have to find out new topics, so I will go for these papers or bibliometric. Now they have written something about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now look at this table number 1. In table number 1, they have said that they have searched on 14th of April 2021, search date. On this date, they have gone to scopus.com, search engine is Scopus, and they put these words: AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data mining, data science, algorithm, analytics, robot, automation, and finance or finance management. These are the tricks to write papers. Finance, FINANC star. Management, not management, but manage star. They have narrowed down the research to business management, accounting and finance, social sciences and arts. And they have mentioned only research paper, conference paper and review papers. And they have focused only on English papers. And they have reduced paper. They have selected only A star, A and B, and whose title, abstract and keywords are complete. So out of 11,000 papers, they have narrowed down to 283 papers. On these 283 papers, they have done that who are the top authors, top institutions, top countries in the area of AI and finance, machine learning. Who are the top 20 journals? Okay. Who are the top 20 journals? Who are the top 10, top 20 authors and the papers in this area? And who are the top cited papers? Okay, cited papers. And what is the mesh of this? Who is linked with who? But the most important finding is this. In this paper of Goodwill and Satish Kumar, they have given that majority of the 283 top papers are writing on financial distress, algorithm, and high frequency trading, forecasting and predictive, text mining, financial fraud, pricing, scheduling. So why not you study a thesis on your financial fraud? Because very few papers are there. So these are the clusters on which you can start working on the research papers and the research topics. So starting point can be the bibliometric. You can take a foothold of bibliometric analysis. Let us see the most important table. Yes. So people say that I am running short of topics. So why you are not going for bibliometric papers? Out of this paper, only 8 citations are there for algorithmic trading. So if I have to write a paper, I can start writing a paper on algorithmic trading. I know that there are only 8 publications. TC is citation, TP is publication. When there are only 8 papers, quality papers in the world, why should not I write a paper on algorithmic trading? Novelty is definitely there and newness is there. Arbitrage, use of AI and ML in arbitrage, use of AI in bankruptcy, AI in blockchain, AI in chatbot. 2 papers are there in the world on 14th April 2021. You can use the same keyword of this paper and find out on 13th of July 2022. You will see how many papers are there. So try to see that bibliometric paper will give you domain also of work and topics of work. So out of this table, I have written I have read 9 papers on robo advisory, and I wrote a paper on robo advisory. When I actually read these 9 papers, I got variables and I knew where is the novelty. None of the 9 papers have applied structural equational modeling, and I applied structural equational modeling, and the novelty was in terms of variables. That's it. So paper is ready, paper is under review. This is how you should target the papers as well as the journals. The topic of the presentation today is how to target. I mean, this is where you should target. These are the top authors. You must know who are the god of your topics. Antweiler is there, Tatlock is there, Black and Scholes is there, Eugene Fama is there, Heston is there, Altman. If you read their papers, your mind will be a great mind. And if you read these authors, Pan, Das and Chen, Bannon and Peel, you will come to know that who are the top. So always respect the person who is doing bibliometric analysis. And if you see, it is not very technical, it is very easy. Download VOS Viewer software. Let me just write down the name. The name of the software is VOS Viewer. It's free of cost software, and on the website, lot of tutorials are there on VOS Viewer software. The Excel, this Excel, on corporate restructuring, we have downloaded this Excel. We are supposed to put this refined Excel without any repetition into VOS Viewer software. I mean, if we put this Excel into VOS Viewer, you will get all the tables. You must know how to operate a VOS Viewer, and you will get all these tables. This table you will get top journals, top authors, and everything you will get. Top citation, and then write explanation, table explanation, and bibliometric paper is ready. Introduction, I have explained to you how somebody should write an introduction. Okay, introduction I have mentioned that the emerging area of artificial intelligence and machine learning within the financial system, industries and society. Talk about gross, then come to the net. Okay. So bibliometric analysis is another good aspect. So at this point, if anybody has any question, please ask.
Yes, sir, we do have some few questions.
Akanksha is there, na? Please tell how to write the interpretation of these network diagram. See, it is very simple. In the top 10 authors, you can see that how these people are writing, that this is the author with so many citations, this is at number 2, number 4. It is just like explaining law of demand. You know how to draw law of demand, law of variable proportion, the way we are taught in writing explanation by the economics faculty during our school times or even in college times. It is simple. The table is there, you have to only interpret. Fine. So another is, Ritika said, could you please share the website for title search again? Ritika, it is scopus.com, and you must have institutional access. I did so, but paper was rejected, so submit it to another journal. The rejection is the starting point. And Shubham said, do we have readily available tools? Yes, there are two tools. One is VOS Viewer. Second is RStudio. And tomorrow, I guess Dr. Kaurav is coming. Dr. Kaurav is one of the best tutor in this bibliometric analysis. His videos are very good videos on YouTube, and tools are RStudio. In RStudio, BiblioShiny is the package which you have to install in RStudio, and you have to use this Excel downloaded from Web of Science or from Scopus. Either you can do it on Scopus or you can do it on Web of Science and write a bibliometric paper. At least in my university, we have made it mandatory for the research scholars that your synopsis will be submitted if you publish a bibliometric paper. So one of my research scholars, she has got a paper publication. She has done a bibliometric analysis. Now her mind is clear on the variables, on the topics, on the domain, and now her synopsis will be presented. So the bibliometric analysis is also, you can incorporate into thesis, and it will give you different ideas. I always say a person is bankrupt due to money, but he should have full ideas of research. Academic bankruptcy should not be there. Monetary you can have. So academic bankruptcy is there when you don't know that on which topic I can write a paper. So in bibliometric analysis, the topics are there. You see table number 7 of Satish Kumar paper. There are so many topics, and he has given that how many rare papers has been written on AI and robo advisory. I read only 9 papers. I read only 9 papers, and through 9 papers, I have come out with a quantitative study using SEM. So another is chatbot. Another is, I mean, there are 30 topics he has listed. So you can write 30 papers in coming times. And before your topics are over, you can take another bibliometric paper. So upscaling requires topic, and topic can be researched with the novel topics where you can mention. So let me share something. I guess 3:30 is the time now. 3:30.
Yes, sir.
So just let me share my screen because Meenakshi has shared the screen.
No, sir.
Okay.
You can share now.
So okay. Yes. So spotting the gap comes the end, and it starts with the bibliometric, and the game starts from Scopus, reading the variables, bringing the order, and then identify the key variables. So search the best topics because that author is helping you to search for the best topics. And these are the 2 resources. So those who were asking for the data, I have given this in presentation. These are the Web of Science, and this is the screen which comes like this, that if you have institutional access, only then this screen will come and you can find. So if somebody is looking for a predatory journal, how to avoid predatory journal, you can click on sources also. If you have any doubt that this journal is predatory or not, whether this is not cloned or not, instead of search, you click on sources and you click on title, and you just name the journal, put it here. For example, let us just put Global Business Review. Global Business Review. Okay. So Global Business Review, find sources. If it arrives here, then it is Scopus. If it is not coming here, it is not Scopus. So the number is here. So this journal is authentic journal. Click on Global Business Review and go for source homepage. This will give you the true and authentic website. From Scopus, you go to the journal's website. Because these days, there is a lot of fraud in the academic world. People have created a cloned website. So from Google, we search. So we land up in a cloned website, and then they publish their paper on their website, and they charge you some 5,000 to 15,000, but it is actually not an authentic journal. So always enter from Scopus to homepage and go to the original website, and then go for. Good journals never ask for money. And if the source homepage is not coming here, then you click here that these are the 305 documents which they have published and indexed into Scopus. Click on these 305 documents if homepage is not coming on Scopus. So these are those 305 papers which GBR has indexed into Scopus. From here, you click View at Publisher. If you click on View at Publisher, then you can go to the original website. Now this is the original website. If homepage is not coming, from their paper, you can go to the original website. But you must open an original website of the journal. Otherwise, you might land up into predatory or cloned journals. This is another aspect which I wanted to share in this thing. So this is the Web of Science database, and this is a good database, better database than Scopus. Scopus is best, but this is excellent. SCI and SSCI publications are there. So your paper, you will definitely get your theoretical support from, at least from this Web of Science databases. Impact factor journals are there. Impact factor. So sometimes we are running short of theory. So let me tell you, for information sciences, okay, you can click on this theory. Let me just copy this page and paste it into the cat row. Okay, I'm pasting this into the chat room so that everybody can have this link of this theory. Control. This theory, this page will take you to the set of theories. Welcome to the words of theories in IS research, information systems research. They have compiled all these theories. You have to see which theory aligns with your variables. Okay, garbage can theory, game theory, flow theory, illusion of control theory, and you can find out that this is unified theory of. So if you are using technology, this UTOUT theory is there. It will give you dependent variable, independent variables, and it will give you model. It will give you the seminal article, the genesis of this UTOUT in MIS quarterly. You will get the seminal paper also, and it will help you to get the additional link also, and who is the original contributor. So your task is to align your topic to a theory also, and this is done. Aligning theory means you can have a single theory like SOR framework, which I have just shown you. You can work on integration of two theories, and a new novelty should be there, a variable novelty in terms of variable, like you tout TAT plus well-being. This can be one of the aspect, and avoid poor writing of abstract is the phase, and abstract should be written as a second last step. Second last step. Last is title. From titles to title, you have to narrow down, and length is there. So research. These are the papers which I have used to use in this workshop. I have used my own paper. This is a B category manuscript, and this is also B category in qualitative research in financial market. So this is C in linking ethical leadership. So whenever an author arrives, so you have to convert that paper into quality. You have to convert that paper into quality, and these are the writings all onto majority of the papers onto this. So these are another which I just saw, that Elsevier Publishing Campus is there, Research for Life is portal is there, Career Advice portal of Elsevier is there, and Writing How in the Social Sciences, Coursera is also teaching on this. Good publication, but the publication requires these kind of hard-hitting questions, that whether originality is there, relationship to literature is there, whether methodology has been met. Otherwise, you are going to have a let me just show you what can happen at times. I will give you first revision. Yes, first revision. Action taken report. Yes. Just have a look at another very, very critical observation from the reviewers. Yes. This is benchmarking, and it has taken us, a lot of pains to remove the requirements of the reviewers. Lot of requirements. See, despite the fact we have done this thing, which I am training you, they have written abstract is poorly written. So we again revise the abstract. Practical implication is poorly written. This is written by the reviewers. The idea is the study contains an innovative idea. He is happy with the novelty, but abstract is poorly written. Implication is poorly written. Originality is there, but poorly written. Practical implication is there, but so we improved the abstract like this. Originality. Talk about environment. Environment is a very, very big word. So whatever domain you are studying, you see where, in which environment you are talking about. And then I improved the introduction section. Lot of grammatical and spelling mistakes, so we improved. Research gap is not clear, we highlighted the research gap. Motivation is not clear, we highlighted the motivation of the study. Novelty is not included, although we have written the novelty, but we highlighted that this is the novelty. This is how you have to point out that this was the novelty, this was the statement. So according to the report, we added report, research in the past, contrary studies. Literature review, he said authors have poorly presented the conceptual model. Why? because on the model, we were not mentioning this H6, H2, H1, H7, H3. So he asked us that notation should be there, that where is hypothesis, which hypothesis having number. So I have to go to paintbrush because I don't know Corel Draw. Those who know Corel Draw, they can perform a better picture. So this picture was coming from this software, so I have done in paintbrush simply. So he accepted it. Okay, because we are not technical expert. So he wanted me the model with the notation number and try to include in a separate appendix. Then he asked us, where is the questionnaire? Where is the questionnaire? And every questionnaire has a construct and the statement and from where it was borrowed. Construct wise citation, he was looking into this thing. So he has said that it was found that significant relation is recognized. So author has given an older reference. Can you see Sam et al. 2014? So he has mentioned older reference. So we have used 2019 SAF reference. So on the same article, we have added this 2019. Again, he has said two older references, although older means this was a seminal paper, but we added another paper of 2019. Again, in another hypothesis, older reference. How can we ignore seminal paper? So seminal was also there, we added a new citation. Another older side references. That is why I'm saying that you work on 2022 citation. I added Chan, Datta et al. 2022 citation. I added recent and Scopus was besides me to help. And this is all about so another descriptive statistics. Author need to describe snowball sampling method. What are the advantages and disadvantages? So even if sometimes we are using that, I am using conjoint, you must mention conjoint analysis is advantages, disadvantages. And even in another paper of conjoint, the authors have asked us, reviewers have asked us, justify conjoint analysis. Here he has asked us, justify sampling technique. Okay, so from our mistakes, you should learn. You should not do these mistakes. You should be one step ahead of us so that you prepare a paper like this and then you see what new is coming from the reviewers. He said, you have mentioned discriminant validity, but compute it. Compute. So sometimes you have to compute. So we have computed it. The formula was taken from the book and one illustration we have solved. This you might not get. But he asked us to do composite reliability. We computed it. Since I am trainer of SEM, so I know how calculation is done. So I have done this calculation, that how one calculation, standard calculation of habit was done. And this is how reliability is calculated, composite reliability. So he asked me to do it on HTMP also, reliability also, F square also, Q square also. So we did it. Okay. So next is, yes, practical implication, poorly written. Every time he was against the paper, but he found the paper new novelty. Therefore, he never left us. It should be specific and clear. Author should describe how the findings will be helpful for manager in real life situation. So we mentioned the psychologist, financial advisor for whom habit is there. And we mentioned those persons who are going to be benefited. This is how you have to convince the argument that these are the persons. He said IPMA, solve it manually, and research limitation and future study plan is poorly written. So we improved that future research can include security, credibility, privacy, trust. We have not used this variable, but somebody else can use this variable. We have done it at India level. Okay, further study can be done at India level. This is ordinary. I mean, I just said that it's a very ordinary limitation, but he accepted it. Thirdly, I have done impact. Somebody can do segmentation on the same model. Lastly, Somebody can add personality from the area of OB, personality traits. Somebody can use Big Five model. Somebody can use MBTI. Any psychological variable can be applied on retail investor. So suggest don't criticize, but suggest constructively. I have given 3 good suggestions for the future researcher from this paper. Okay, so this is how we have to take on the reviewer 2, and review 2 was also against us, and we convinced with theoretical framework. He was on theory and he was on literature view, and he asked us to incorporate these citations. These citations were also there, and some were new, and we added hypothesis numbering also. So SAM model numbering also. So technical rigor and review statement. So he asked us the citation. We have incorporated the citations. This is how he asked for questionnaire. We added the questionnaire. We had the questionnaire. So you all should think of these angles, these critical angles. And these are not ordinary journals. H-index 66 and A and B category manuscripts. So I have not used any US author or Australian author. This is India going international. So when I was asked to give a lecture on this upscaling, so what we have faced and what we are facing, where sometimes 7th revision and 4th revision is going on, this is how they are accepting our arguments. And we are not short of ideas, because we have a person who is doing bibliometric in finance. Find out the next journey of the researcher should be learn bibliometric analysis, write a bibliometric analysis in 1 or 2 months, get it published, and generate new ideas yourself from Scopus and Web of Science, and then download the papers, start writing papers. 2 angles you can learn from publishing research papers. So I am learning bibliometric analysis, and even if I don't know how to write, but I have bibliometric author in India to give me new ideas. Anytime I can write, anytime, any paper, any topic he is giving, every day a new publication is coming from his side. So with these words, I thank the authorities and the managing committee of BCIPS for giving me opportunity to speak on this topic. I hope I have made some justice. I will share, if you want, I can share this, communication of reviewers and authors, if you want, right? So that you can see how we have written to convince, and what are the key parameters of judging a paper for publication. Publication is a smooth journey, but you must know what will come after the next step. So these are the papers. I'll show you, I'll give you my papers, see, read, and then you see the steps, corroborate them, and then you go for scopus.com. In Delhi, there are so many institutes who are having institutional access. Life is easy if you have the access. Search the variables, find the topics, start reading, and spend 1 hour to 2 hours every day. Slowly and gradually, 10 to 15 lines one day is enough for any faculty. And in 1 year, if you ask me my opinion, 2 to 3 papers are published are good enough. It is not that you publish 20, 30 papers. 2 to 3 papers in 1 year by a faculty member, even in a college or in a university, is good enough for life satisfaction. Thank you very much. And if you have any query, you can.
Yes, sir. We have few queries in our chat box. Shall we take up these queries, sir?
Yes. Rupa said that Corel Draw, na? So even I don't know Corel Draw, but I do it in Paintbrush. So you can do it in Paintbrush if you don't know the things. But sometimes computer people are very helpful for you. The faculty in computer sciences, they are good in Corel Draw, and even in office staff, they are very good in Corel Draw. So you take help and you can get it drawn from them, and they are ready to help anytime.
So there is one query from Shikha Gupta, that is there any difference between SEIE and SEI Web of Science? If yes, one having higher impact factor.
Expanded. E stands for expanded. So SAI or SSCI, they are having impact factor. And you must be seeing that a lot of academic corruption is there. Every journal is writing, I have impact factor 7, 6, 4, 5. I mean, if they are not SCI or SSCI, they don't have impact factor. As simple as that. Even UGC care listed journals, they are writing impact factor 7, 6, 9. I don't know how they are writing. Even an impact factor of 2 is a very, very big impact factor for an author to get a paper published. Right now, I mean, last 4 or 5 years, the impact factor has improved in social sciences. Otherwise, anybody who has got a impact factor of 4 with 2-3 papers in impact factor 4, somebody can get in a very good job in IIMs or in premium institutes, NIT, IITs. So think on these lines. Focus on SCI, SSCI. For us, it is SSCI. For Faculty of Arts, if they say that there are no good journals in arts, it is not like they have AHCI, Arts and Humanities Citation Index. AHCI. AHCI, Social Science Citation Index and Science Citation Index. For us, it is SSCI. Published in SSCI.
Thank you, sir. And another question is, for tourism research, which website can be used to get the theory of variables? Like IS theory, is there any website for tourism research?
You have to go from different angle. Now, you see, you must have a few good authors. I can give you 4 or 5 names. One is Professor Faizan Ali. Faizan Ali, Faizan, Faizan Ali. You download all his citation from Google Scholar. Now here you can find out what his papers are there in Google Scholar. It will come as a list. So his 2022 to 2018 papers you download. You see what he is writing in A category and A star publication. Those papers will give you a bunch of theories. You have to move opposite now, reverse. One is Professor Rasuli Manish. Rasolimanesh, Professor Rasuli Manish. He's in Malaysia. He is doing fantastic job in the world. Download his all papers from Google Scholar, a list of papers, and from those papers you download the theories in his paragraph number 2, which theories he is building the arguments. Okay. So another is the Professor T. Ramaiya. He is also in Malaysia, and the fourth one is Professor Hiram Ting. HIRAMTING. These are the 4 teachers which I follow for one of my research scholar in tourism. So from their papers, the theories are, we are deriving the theories and compiling the list of theories.
Thank you, sir. Another question is from Ms. Anu Sohal. She wanted to ask how to spot research gaps from previous studies.
Research gaps from their limitations and future research directions. You see their models, you see the variables, what they have done and what they have concluded, and how their limitation is suggesting that what others can do. The theoretical model will be the same, but they say that we have not been able to do with this thing, so somebody can add. Like in my paper, I said that somebody can use this paper, celebrity endorsement, and apply Big 5 personality model. So he can write a paper with that particular research gap into his introduction section.
So the next question is from Ms. Bhumi Vyas, that how to check the authenticity of ABDC.
ABDC. Please, we don't sacrosanct to ABDC. You should be sacrosanct to Scopus and Web of Science. Some ABDC is Australian. They have created a journal list, but you should go for ABS. ABS list is better list than ABDC. They have some subjective norms. They are not truly authentic, but A star, A or B, and search for impact factor 2, they must be indexed in Scopus, and go for higher H index. These are the parameters. ABDC is not a good parameter to write a paper.
Thank you, sir. Another question is from Ms. Rupasana, that if anyone wants to do qualitative research and develop a theoretical framework, but the study doesn't have any conceptual framework, is it good enough to go for a quality paper, sir? Yes.
The research gap can be that in this aspect, the theories are not developed. Qualitative is done to propose a theory, a framework. Qualitative studies are not built on theoretical framework, they propose a theory from their phenomena. Okay, so qualitative already has a research gap that theoretical support is missing. Lack of theoretical support is there. Therefore, we are intending to do thematic analysis, and word count or qualitative analysis through at-risk TI or through NVivo. And I guess tomorrow Max QDA is going to happen. So learn from them. It's very important 2 days coming ahead from this workshop.
So another question is from Miss Varudini Chiruvamila that can we include few variables on our own or should be reviewed variables only?
Reviewed variables only. I am saying this thing on record. According to Atul Shiva is a wrong statement. According to Abraham Maslow is the right statement. The word according to is by some Adam Smith or by, so the variables should be from the published studies, which are rarely used in a particular context. What I think is irrelevant. What research says is relevant. So therefore, I always use in my opinion. I never use according to me. So in research, it is always as per research studies, which what I think that it should be there. I always ignore that thought of line. And whenever some research scholar is coming to me and faculty says, I think that this can be added. So I said, who are you? Supported with the research studies. Go into Scopus. If somebody says that this variable is A is leading to B, then talk to me. This is as simple. So according to me is nothing that I think that this variable can be added. I cannot add the variable. There has to be some study and there has to be some necessary, you can say, direction that why this was not added into that context, why I should add it as a novelty into my study.
Thank you, sir. And one last question for the session is, sir, that how it is from Mr. Sujay Vikram Singh. He wanted to ask how to approach for ABDC A star and how their perspective is different from ABDC A journals, category journals.
See, A star, they try to see that you have given a new thought of line of thought, right? They are publishing papers which propose some new theory, new idea, not something new on the basis like TAM theory. Now, in finance also, after these persons like Eugene Fama, I mean, who has given new theories of corporate finance? 1970s models we are using. Who is giving new model? Academic bankruptcy is also coming from proposing. So in A star, whosoever tries to intend to give a newer model like capital asset pricing model, arbitrage pricing theory, those persons are getting hold of these A star publications. There is thin line of A is also good, but A star requires you to get into the peak of the novelty and the model or some new concept you should propose into. So COVID has given new ideas. And in Sri Lanka, what is happening, economic crisis, this can also give how crowd behaves. How crowd behaves when economic crisis is there. So this A star is slightly taking you to the edge, and you can get a good job in another country if you are 2 A star. A star is difficult. And IIMs gives 10 to 15 lakhs. I guess I have heard that 1 A star, 10 to 15 lakhs per paper.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Vikas Dahiya, sir, to extend the vote of thanks for the day.
Okay, thank you, Megha. I would like to take this opportunity to present a vote of thanks to our respected director ma'am, our esteemed expert speaker, Dr. Atul Shiva, our valued participants, organizing committee, faculty and staff of the institute, and my loving students. I, on the behalf of BCIPS family, extend to you a very hearty vote of thanks for gracing the event and sharing vision and experiences. We are honored to have the presence of Dr. Atul Shiva, Associate Professor, Chandigarh University, who took out some time from his busy schedule and spending that valuable time with us. And he brilliantly enlightened us on the topic, scaling up the quality of research paper. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming to BCIPS Google platform and blessing the event. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank our organizing committee, including faculty, staff, and students. So I also thankful to all the participants for their participation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you, Vikas.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time and for being with us and enlightening our audience with your knowledge. I would like to thank our participants for their active participation for today's session. Before winding up, I would request you all to kindly fill the feedback form for today's session. We would like to make an announcement. It's an important announcement that due to some urgency, our third day resource person, Dr. RPS Kaurav sir, will take day 3 and day 4 sessions at 6 p.m. We request you all to join by 5:50 p.m. sharp on the same link. Looking forward to meet you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Goodbye to everyone and hoping to meet you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.